sake of giving y'all documentaries, giving y'all films and all of that stuff like that, today I'm going to give you a montage, because y'all know I got my notes, of different films and like even YouTube little snippets and documentaries and informationals that I've watched, some of the takeaways, a lot to get into, so we just gonna start knocking this shit out. The first thing on the list is Vice News, the series on YouTube. They talk about a lot of different stuff. I really like their material. They have a episode on what's called Mad Honey. That's also another hallucinogen. I do want to try that. I'm not gonna tell y'all about it in this video, but y'all can Google it. Vice TV, they have a episode, it's about 45 minutes long, called The Battle Over Psychedelics. They basically talk about how they are trying to medicalize psychedelics in an expensive way. They're trying to figure out, well, how can we make this accessible to people through therapy and capitalism and insurance coverage and finding a therapist who specializes in psychotherapy and, you know, all these different ways that they could try to get psychedelics legalized, but in a way that would be beneficial for other people, because that's always the biggest hurdle, okay? If it's not beneficial for other people, how can we argue that it's worth being legal? Well, it's a public domain because it grows in the wild. How you gonna put a patent on some shit that grow outside or that people could grow in their house? So they're like, okay, how can we appeal to other people? What if we use it during therapy, but then is there going to be a process to get these therapists certified for psychotherapy? And then it's like, well, then you got to deal with psychologists and therapists who are trying to administer this to a person who's already suffering and they themselves don't have the experience. So then it's like, what are the ways that we could put credential requirements on it? It kind of unpacks all the layers and the different levels of intricacy that would go into that if that were to hypothetically be true. Because when you have a therapist that's trying to coach you through something that they've never been through, or they don't have the knowledge on, or firsthand personal experience on, there's just going to be a disconnect. And it's like, how do you put a psychedelic in the hands of a therapist who is there to help people heal, and they can't complete the job because they lack the experience? On my own perspective, I'm like, okay, what if this was actually a thing though? This person, how do you certify them for being qualified enough with LSD? And it's like, got another person that's like, okay, they certified for shrooms. But then what if you got another person that's like, okay, they qualified enough to be certified for shrooms and LSD. But then you got a whole nother motherfucker who like, yeah, I'm a therapist, I got the qualification for ayahuasca. And it's like, how do you even tell the patients like, all right, well, we're going to send you to this therapist, he specializes in LSD. Then you got, like, how do you get the person who might be like me and be like, nah, I want to be certified in everything, whatever qualification areas they have, give it to me. Now you got all these therapists out here who just be doing all these psychedelic drugs. And it's like, do you need a drug program, right? Like, it's a lot of shit that go into that because it just raises so many fucking questions. I thought it was interesting that they started to kind of unpack that. They talked about like the qualifications for Schedule 1. I think the most important thing that they talked about was the USONA Institute. The USONA Institute is basically the company who is in the lead. That's what I'm going to use. They're in the lead for clinical trials as it pertains to synthetic psilocybin. You know how every story goes, you got these motherfuckers who get their ass in a lab and they like, yeah, let's make a synthetic version of it because, you know, the real thing is this. But if we make a generic version that's ours, it's synthetic, we put that shit in a lab, and they explain how they doing it, right? Because they went as far as to talk to people who are on both sides of the spectrum, and it's really dived into the people who are fighting against not having any type of patent on anything related to psilocybin. So what happens when you put a patent on something is that you pretty much claim all the research. It makes it so that other people who are doing research on that same thing are excluded from your research findings. When you think about psilocybin and the whole mushroom and psychedelic community, holding on to information that could help people completely defeats the fucking purpose, because it attacks capitalism and it takes it out at the knees, because it's like, our goal is to help people. We want people to grow. We want people to be better. We want people to develop. We want people to unpack their traumas, and we want them to move forward. We want there to be progress. We want you to tap into your inner self. We want you to tap into and be more in tune with just like a lot more shit. When you bring capitalism into something that is bringing people together and helping people get over so many things like addiction and cancer and alcoholism and, you know, all these other physical and mental health issues, putting a patent on something completely is multiple steps backwards. You're literally going right the fuck back to square one. And that only comes from people who are being fucking greedy. I like the way that they kind of unpack that. Compass Pathways is the current synthetic psilocybin patent holder. They claim that we want to help people who can't get out of bed. And honestly, that's just some bullshit to me, because even when they went to go interview the motherfuckers who is like the CEO, they was just so resistant. It was very much so like,
you're trying to intrude. You're trying to do this. You're trying to do that. Like, what's your end game? That's off limits. You can't ask me about that.
Like, it was just very much so like, you guys are giving bad guy energy. Yeah, this is fucking weird. Y'all on some bullshit. I'm feeling bad juju's coming from y'all. You know, I personally wasn't there, but just sitting on the other side of the screen, I'm like, yeah, they fucking chakras is all fucking mumbo jumbo. Yeah, y'all are giving me Mojo Jojo energy. Y'all are giving very much so Decepticons. Y'all giving very much so run for cover from y'all. Yeah, fuck y'all. Y'all are bad guys, because yeah, y'all some bullshit. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. They whole vibe was very villainous. Then I also liked how they jumped on the other end of the spectrum. I felt like it was very much so good journalism for them to explore opposing positions of an argument. Now, the person who they went to go talk to, who's on the opposite side of the fence, his jujus was on point. You know, he was very much so like, yeah, these guys are full of shit. And this is why. This is what they doing. This is how they did that shit in the fucking lab. They took 2 strands of fucking psychedelic mushrooms and they extracted 2 dirty ass, like, you know, the way they was talking about it. It was very much so like, oh baby, this is the tea right here. Yeah, because y'all doing this shit. Y'all got this stepped on ass, and y'all got these dirty ass strains that y'all mixed up together in a fucking lab, and y'all grew that shit in a goddamn flask, and y'all took these P-Tech jars and y'all manipulated that shit too. So now y'all got this fake ass shit, and we don't even know if it really worked for real in the same way that the real shit worked, because it's fucking synthetic. So we really can't even trust y'all shit. And I'm like, damn, he eating they ass the fuck up. And then 45 minutes shit got real. So that was good. One thing that they also talked about was how a patent means exclusive access, which would make it only for motherfuckers who got money, and defeats the whole purpose of getting it to motherfuckers who really need it. Like, not to say that people with money don't need it, but it makes it less accessible. Others who may also need it that just don't got as much money. Again, defeating the fucking purpose. The Battle Over Psychedelics by Vice News. It's 45 minutes. It's on YouTube. Next on the list, we're talking about the Psychedelic Frontier. Dennis McKenna is another buzz name. I know I told y'all about the therapist. Now I'm telling y'all about Dennis McKenna. He is a prevalent face in a lot of these psilocybin, psychedelic documentaries, films. He is a face that you need to know. He's very knowledgeable. But the Psychedelic Frontier, that takes you through the journey of a military veteran who is addicted to crystal meth, and he is trying to use psychedelic mushrooms to get off of crystal meth. So he is fighting addiction. He has a substance use disorder. Basically, he was also a bomb diffuser in the military. So they talk about his PTSD in full detail. They talk about his daily life and the things that he suffers with. They talk about his traumas. They talk about some of the things that he's seen while he was at the war, what his job description was, and pretty much how all of that shit just fucked him up once he came back. They also dug into the use of iboga. This was my first time ever hearing about that, but it is a shrub that grows in Africa and it helps to purge toxins from the body. Iboga, I also found out, is used in some medications currently and that it serves the same purpose. So iboga added to the list. It is a plant. Y'all can go pick that up. This also talked about microdosing and how he is going to introduce it. They talk to people who press the capsule. So if you're not familiar with microdosing and how that process works, even down to chocolate, they break this shit down in very clear detail. They show it to you. You see it for yourself. Another thing is that this military veteran is planning to go to a psychedelic ceremony. In this ceremony, he is preparing for it for 2 weeks. He is detoxing from crystal meth, so you know he's going through withdrawals. He's trying to mentally prepare himself for this ceremony and facing his trauma, and it's really a guided trip. That's what the ceremony was. They show the ceremony as well. I'm gonna keep my opinions on my take on his ceremony to itself because I already told y'all I'm kind of biased when it comes to guided trips. But I did like the fact that they had a therapist on site. I did like the fact that there was a nurse on site during his ceremony, and they also talked about how he went through this pre-screening process. Safety, 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 safety first. This display of his journey was very much so safety first. I loved that aspect of it. I liked how he just was able to be vulnerable. And I feel like seeing other people be vulnerable, it gives you the strength to be vulnerable too. Like, damn, I thought my shit was bad and look at this. He made a comment and he was like, I feel like if I don't find something else to help me with my addiction and my trauma, that I am going to die. I've gone as far as trying crystal meth. What is it gonna hurt me to try a mushroom? If that's gonna be the thing that saves my life, I'm willing to try it because I don't want to die. I also love the fact that he focused on his art. He got back into art. He got back into creating to the point where he mustered up enough courage to start showcasing and sharing his art with other people. Going to galleries, going to like pop-up shops. He was able to reconnect with a childhood friend and start dating again. Like, it was good. Now, I did like the most that they was just very transparent about his progress, about what he went through, about his journey, and I loved it. I loved it. So if y'all are curious, I think y'all should watch it, The Psychedelic Frontier. Another one on YouTube. This one is an hour and 24 minutes. It is called Reveling the Mind, and they talk about LSD. I know I mentioned in the previous video the person who created LSD. His name is Albert Hoffman, okay? He created LSD on accident. Complete accident. What happened was he had got some of the substance on his hand and he rubbed his eye and my nigga just started tripping. They, again, talked about how their research was stopped. So Albert Hoffman, he gets to the point where he starts using LSD every single day. He finds out that you can't overdose on it. He does that shit for 60 years straight. Trips every fucking day and just has all these epiphanies. His mind just gets to spinning even more. Wheels just doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And it got to a point where Big Dog was like, yeah, y'all try this shit too. It's good for me, good for you too. Here, bam, right? So then all this research started happening. The research get interrupted for, reasons with no relations to science. Cause motherfuckers was having epiphany. Niggas was knocking out like 10 and 15 years worth of therapy off of all this shit that they realizing off LSD. So the government was like,
bitch, fuck you. Get that shit the fuck up out of here. No.
I also like how this explains how LSD activates the 2A receptors in the mind. Now, I can't explain that. Y'all gotta look it up. Watch it. It's good. They also talked about ketamine. They also talked about treatment-resistant depression. And I thought that was interesting because I never thought of depression in that way. Depression is one of those things that is treatment-resistant, meaning that therapy doesn't work. Antidepressants don't work. It's like, fuck, does that put you on a hamster wheel. Like, damn. I never thought about depression in that way. So it definitely had my wheels spinning off that too. It made me question ketamine because I don't know what the fuck it is. I need to look it up and get some more information on it. But again, as I'm learning, I'm bringing y'all on this journey with me. I don't got all the answers, but as I'm learning, if y'all can help me out too, drop something in the comments, let me know, like, oh, you need a resource for this? Try this. I saw this, blah, blah, blah. I love that. I like that we connecting. So as I'm learning, I want to bring y'all along with me. So far, I need to look up ketamine because ketamine also came up in the Psychedelic Frontier as well. Indolecolamines and phenethylamines. I know I'm saying that shit wrong, but yeah, I need to look that shit up too. Okay, moving on. The next one is called Planet Fungi. It is on Tubi. It is 1 hour long. This one is a film about a documentary about this guy who is a mushroom photographer. He goes to Northeast India and he travels up through India and goes to all these different places that are known for different types of mushrooms. He documents mushrooms and indifferent mushrooms. So essentially he is compiling a fungi encyclopedia. So essentially it is a fungi field trip. And I like how they talk about different mushrooms. Like you could just tell that yes, he's knowledgeable about psychedelics and shit like that. But when it comes to mushrooms that grow in the wild, he's going to Northeast Asia to not only photograph them, but document them and talk to the locals about their experience with them. He learned about different poisonous mushrooms. He learned about luminous mushrooms. So yeah, mushrooms that glow in the fucking dark. Yeah, because if y'all know me, y'all know I love anything glow in the dark, anything UV, anything reflective. So I really liked that he like went to different places. He went to like tropical rainforests. He went to like places where people are going out picking these mushrooms. They getting them ready for the market, and I'm talking like pounds and pounds and pounds of them. Oh, I loved it. It was really good. I don't want to give y'all any spoilers, but I feel like I told y'all enough about that. Go watch it. It's on Tubi. It's called Planet Fungi. And the last one that I want to talk to y'all about is on YouTube. It's about an hour long. It's a documentary. It is called Science and Psychedelics. It was a Beyond Psychedelics conference, 3 doses over 3 months with the highest amounts done for FDA research, right? I enjoyed that a lot because they just explain a lot of different stuff. One thing that I really liked that they talked about was how the benefits of psychedelic mushrooms, they outweigh the benefits of regular meds. Psychedelic mushrooms are beating prescription medications because 1, way more cost effective, and 2, the benefits over time are showing up a lot more on the progress side of shit. So yeah, I did like that they highlighted a black mycologist. Whoop, whoop, whoop. However, he is deceased. He died in 2020. I would have loved to meet him. I've seen him in so many psychedelic spaces as I've been on this journey to learn. I have thoroughly enjoyed his findings. They also talked about the comedic underworld with shrooms, and that's something that a lot of these documentaries haven't really touched on for real, in the way that this one touched on it. One thing they said is that psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally laid down models of behavior and information processing. They open you up to the possibility that everything you know is wrong. That came from Terrence McKenna. That quote in itself helps explain a lot as well. I also like the fact that they had what was called a harm reduction team, and that was basically health professionals and therapists for people at this event. Top tier care. You know what I'm saying? One other thing that they said that I thought was a really powerful statement. Psychedelics. Amazing transformative tools to awaken the fundamental unity of all things. I love more than anything when I'm watching a psychedelic film or a piece, or they have really good quotes. It makes me want to put them on a t-shirt. Also too, they talked about the John Hopkins shroom research. I can't give y'all all the details on that. Y'all just gotta watch it. Solid point. It also talks about how the body breaks down DMT and enzymes. I loved that as well. They mentioned a book called Therapy with Substances I'm gonna put that on my wish list. So right now we got 2 books on the list from all of these films so far. Definitely putting that on the list. They touched on how LSD enhances REM sleep. So I don't know if y'all know what REM sleep is, but REM and REM are 2 different types of sleep that, so when you go to sleep, deep sleep is like REM sleep, like when you knock, right? The other kind of sleep is like lightweight sleep. At least that's how I understand it. Yeah, so people who have like anxiety and depression and things of that nature, it affects your ability to be able to sleep, and it affects your sleep patterns. I liked that they talked about psychedelic artwork museums, and they're basically museums that house the artwork of people who are creatives, but they created their art while they was high. So yeah, add that to the list of things to do in my journey with psychedelics, because I think that'd be dope as fuck. And then one other significant takeaway from this particular film, they said the government wants the patent and doesn't want to sell the medicine. Now that perfectly describes a battle with the patent. All right, so if you like this mini psychedelic movie review, give this video a thumbs the fuck up. I hope y'all are enjoying this just as much as I am. As I continue to grow and change, I want y'all to go and grow with me. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. Peace out.